What's up, fungal associates? Welcome to Completely Arbortrary. This is the podcast about trees and other related topics. I am Alex Crowson, and over there on the green couch, oh, Casey, my Casey Clapp.
It is me, Alex. Hello, and good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Casey.
Well, for those of you listening in the morning, good morning.
Good morning, or good twilight to you.
Exactly.
Or happy dusk.
Happy dusk indeed. It's my favorite time of day.
Oh, Casey, I'm sad.
You are sad. You said it right before we pressed record. I'm also sad too, for unrelated but also related reasons.
Yeah, the same reasons, but also a bunch of other reasons.
Why are you sad, Alex?
Well, the reason that I am addressing is that this is our kind of, not last, but this is our last one for a while, our last episode of Completely Arbortrary for a little while.
Yeah, before we take this year hiatus and go work on a couple other projects.
The tree runs.
I am also very, very sad about it. I was giving it a lot of thought. And, I pushed off writing all about it just because it was like, well, if I don't write about it now, it's not real.
Totally.
Yeah.
I've it's been in the back of my mind, this kind of thing stressing me out. Almost like, I mean, it kind of feels like a relative who's like terminally ill. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think so. But
like, you know, it's coming to an end, but it's like, it's stressful to think about. And so you kind of like try not to think about it too much, but then the day is here and it's happening. Today, Casey and I are on air.
We're not doing that, Alex. Jesus. You got to warn someone before you throw that kind of thing out there.
I'll bleep that out. I'll bleep that out.
Well, no, we are. Yes, this is. It's all, I don't know. There's a lot of different mixed emotions, of course, because we're talking about a tree today, which is very fun.
I don't give a shit.
A nice little thing about it. Everything's the same. But yeah, it is. It's kind of the end of an era. I'm feeling a lot of different feelings about it for sure. But it is, we're here. We're still doing it. We still got this episode to go.
Yeah, and I just want to say, like, we are also not really going anywhere. We have episodes slated for release for the rest of the year.
We sure do.
And beyond. So, don't change that dial. But it, for you and I, we're pre-recording all those episodes.
Yes, yeah. So those will all be ready to go. So we can kind of just like press play and let that go. But like you said, that's the thing. We'll be doing so many more other things that will still be coming out.
Yeah.
So as you'll hear, every single episode we will still be reminding you of what your support is still getting.
Yes.
And I want to talk about that later in the episode.
Okay.
But the idea that we are ending is it's just, I don't know, it's the only way to really put it before we come back.
Yeah. 5 years is a long time to do something.
It's a long time.
It's certainly the longest project I've ever worked on.
It's also scary to stop doing a project that you've been doing for so long, and that has become a part of your kind of identity,
Yeah. Well, I suppose we should maybe take, I can see this going one of two ways.
Yeah, okay.
We could be like really, sentimental and sad, and, really reflective and like, wow, really things are really changing, ending. Or we could just like have a normal episode of Completely Arbortrary and say goodbye at the end and not make a big deal out of it.
Yeah, all right.
Because
okay.
I have a brain injury and I'm feeling emotional and I don't want to make it worse.
That's, I think, so fair. The History of Rome podcast with Mike Duncan that I love so much.
I certainly know of it, yes.
Yeah, well, so every single beginning of the episode, he said, hello and welcome to the History of Rome. The very last episode, he ends it by just saying, and that was the history of Rome.
Wow.
It's so good.
That's extremely cool.
Yes, nothing else changed about the whole thing. He did like have, a paragraph of sentimentality at the end. But
sure,
then he's like, and that was the history of Rome. It's so good.
Wow. Well, let's try that. We'll say at the end of this episode, we'll say, and that was the history of Rome.
And we'll see if it works. Okay, sounds good.
Well, Casey, we got a tree to talk about today. You got anything else for this intro?
I don't. Everyone, support the Cone Club. Get your cones.
Oh, man.
This month, I am so stoked for the species that we have. So anyway, go join that right now.
That's right. That's at arbitrarypod.supercast.com. It's the place to be. It's a sticker club. Every month, we send you a botanical sticker. And all those stickers are illustrated by independent artists doing amazing work. And we shit. We shit.
We do.
We print them here in Portland.
We shit cones. That's how we make it. We didn't tell you guys, but that's how they come. That's how we get them.
Oh my God.
We have to force feed Alex all sorts of vinyl.
Yeah, it's not fun for me, but you know what? I do it for my fans.
Yes, we do.
Sorry,
it for
our
you.
fans. Then we send them out to you in envelopes to your physical mailbox, and in these troubled times, what could be better than something to look forward to?
That's exactly right.
In my many years of depression, I've learned I have quite a large toolkit, you know, or what do they call them? Toolbox.
Yeah. Well, either one works. Yeah, I'm good with that.
And one of those tools is like, look forward to something. Have something to look for. So I put everything on my calendar. If a movie's coming out I'm excited for, I put it on my calendar.
That's a great
and
idea.
I look forward to it. So this is something you can look forward to. Getting a sticker in the mail every month from your boys.
You sure can. And as we are doing these new things on the hiatus, you will get those cone stickers along with so many cool things coming out early that I will be producing, that Alex will be producing, that we'll be putting out. So it's going to be like essentially the coolest club to be in for the next, I don't know, forever.
Trillion years.
Yeah, might as well. Let's just do it until the heat death of the universe.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, you're in.
Listen, everybody, we got to talk about a tree today
Yes, we do.
for the third time.
Oh.
But
what?
for the 248th time, we got to take a quick break. We'll be right back with Completely Arbortrary. Welcome back to Completely Arbortrary. Oh boy. Today we're talking Douglas-fir. Can you believe it?
We sure are. Alex, I need to tell you that I've been thinking about this episode for months. I mean, months and months and months.
Yeah.
Mainly the topic. I have thought that this was going to be the end of this, first run of Completely Arbortrary for a long time.
Yeah.
And the fact that we have the third Star Wars themed Douglas-fir pun to close it out makes everything in my heart sing.
Yeah, it's good.
So we have the Phantom Fir.
Yes.
Very first episode.
Douglas-fir, the Phantom Fir.
The second one was episode 2, Attack of the Cones.
That's right.
Number 3, Revenge of the Pith.
Brilliant.
It's so good.
Maybe our finest work. And
I think it is.
I think we came up with this idea like years ago. That our final episode would be like another Douglas-fir and it would have to be end the trilogy.
Correct. Exactly. Yeah.
So next time we do Completely Arbortrary, we'll do the original trilogy instead of the prequels.
Yeah, I suppose that's true. That is hilarious.
Well, Casey, let's imagine as we do every episode.
Yep.
Wow, this is the last time I'm going to say this for a while. You and I, let's get back to basics. You and I are sitting on a nice nurse log. It's probably a Douglas-fir log we're sitting on.
Could be.
Up in here in the Pacific Northwest.
Up in here.
And we come across, because they're fucking everywhere, some Douglas-fir. Casey, let's ID this tree.
Oh, right. Well, here's the thing. It's a Douglas-fir.
Yeah, I mean, we've done this twice.
So go back and listen to our old episodes.
Yeah.
No. We're not going to do that. That's not how we play this game. Today, we will tell you how to identify the Douglas-fir. And here it is. This is a gigantic conifer.
Wow.
It grows to be, allegedly, the tallest tree ever grown, ever measured, ever found in the history of all trees and measurements.
What?
This is true.
I didn't know this.
This is something that I wanted to bring to your attention because I feared that you didn't. And most people also don't.
Okay.
Everyone's like, well, what's the biggest tree in the world? Redwood, eucalyptus. Australia, we hear you. You do not have the tallest trees. It's definitely the Cornish redwood, but we still love you to death. However, it turns out, historically speaking, there was a Doug-fir that grew. I believe it was in Oregon, even so. And it had the top blown out of it, like just broke off in a storm, right?
Okay.
So someone said, holy
Likely
shit.
story.
Likely story.
Yeah.
But they measured that part that broke out, right?
Oh.
They measured it.
They add it to the what was left?
Then they cut it down, the rest of it. Then they measured that.
Yeah.
And it was over 400 feet tall.
400 feet.
Yes.
I can't even fathom that.
Isn't that huge?
How much is one story of a building?
About 30 feet.
Okay.
And that would be like pretty intense. That's like, well, that would be, I think, maybe closer to a 2-story house.
25, 20?
Yeah, because like, I mean, let's look right here. The room we're in, I believe it has like...
I'm going to do 400 divided by 20. Maybe I'll do divided by 15, because not every floor has a roof.
Yes, yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah.
That's a 26-story building.
Yeah, huge. Like truly gigantic.
That's amazing.
Then they can get huge in diameter. And that, I mean, like, they can be sometimes 8, 9, 10, 12 feet. Like, they will not stop growing, and they live for upwards of 500 to 800 years.
Oh my God.
Is generally the time frame of a Douglas-fir, right?
Wow.
But there's also trees that have lived well over 1,000 years. Down in New Mexico, in fact, there is a Douglas-fir kind of grove of these little trees that are growing in volcanic, like, rock, essentially. And they have been growing there almost as these little bonsai, these really stunted, teeny tiny little Doug-firs that have been growing there for like 1,300 years.
Wow.
Like, very old, but they do not look or feel anything like the Doug-firs that you see on the Olympic Peninsula.
And they're
up in
so
Washington.
small?
Yeah. Because
Why aren't they getting bigger?
they're essentially bonsai, like they're growing with the most limited resources in the very dry, kind of arid Southwest.
Okay.
Where they just get enough to live and continue to live. It's kind of like the bristlecone pines, where they are well over thousands and thousands of years old, but they're 35, 25 feet tall. They're not wild, gigantic, huge trees in diameter. They're just cooking really slowly for a really long time.
Do they still put on rings?
They do every single year.
Okay, so they still are growing.
Yes.
But just very, very slowly.
Uh-huh,
Okay.
exactly. So these are kind of the two sides of the Doug-fir. And of course, the ones that are on the east side, we call those the Rocky Mountain variety or the Rocky Mountain subspecies.
Okay.
Which would be Pseudotsuga menziesii subspecies glauca versus the one that grows on the west coast, right literally along the coast on the west side of the Cascades and all those mountain ranges. That is Pseudotsuga menziesii subspecies menziesii.
Oh, so the trees around us,
Yeah.
not to quote my favorite book,
Whoa, that's a good name.
are just like straight up menziesii.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
So they are the kind of the type species, I suppose you could say.
Okay, now let me ask you something, because I don't think we talked about this before, but you just called them Doug-firs.
I did, yeah.
Is this a colloquial name even among like tree knowledgeable people?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
I've always thought that when people call them Doug-fir, I'm like, excuse me, they're called Douglas-fir.
Yes.
So
yeah.
that's the actual name. But now I know that Doug-fir is legit.
It is, truly. And I actually, so it's often just used, like saying instead of Douglas, you say the nickname Doug.
Sure.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same idea.
Okay.
But there's one professor I had, Whitey Luke, way back when, who he was like, no, say its full name. And that I took, and I was like, okay, I'm going to say that. But then, I don't know, you just do that for all the time, At one point, I'm like, it's just a Doug-fir. And like, colloquially, most people say Doug-fir.
Sure.
Very much.
But here's my counter to that, I think.
Okay, yeah.
Is that Douglas is not a first name. In this instance, it is David
It's
Douglas's
David Douglas.
last name.
Yes, that's true. Yeah,
so
yeah.
you don't shorten people's last name.
No, that's very true. You don't. Huh.
Just saying.
I really appreciate
And
this.
I guess I don't really care if people call it Doug-fir, but
Yeah.
I think that's why I would not.
I see. Okay. I'm okay with that.
All right,
Let's
thanks.
go Douglas-fir then.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome, Alex.
Wow.
The Douglas-fir is a native of Western North America, essentially is the best way to say it, because it grows all the way up almost in southeastern Alaska.
Wow.
All the way down through BC, Alberta, goes along the coast. It doesn't grow in kind of the central area of Nevada and the big Great Basin dry area.
Okay.
But everything to the left and the right, the north, south, it grows. But there are little subspecies that grow only in particular areas. Like I said, the west side, that's the coastal variety or the coastal subspecies. And on the east side, in the Rockies, that is the glauca. That's the Rocky Mountain subspecies.
How would you say, what percentile, like when you say like my child tested in the 90th percentile for math, what percentile of like size of native range would you call that? Is that big? That seems big.
Oh, it's huge.
Okay.
Yeah. You mean like if both subspecies kind of put together?
Yeah, all Douglas-firs.
Oh, yeah, it's massive. It essentially is all of Western North America from that high area all the way down nearly to Guatemala. Like
Wow.
grows in the high mountains of southern and central Mexico as well.
Wild.
So when you look at it,
huge.
it's this giant swath of the side of the continent that has some mountains with Douglas-fir that are growing on it.
Damn.
It's crazy. It's
Good
truly
job, Douglas-fir.
right. Yes, Alex. It's a remarkable tree. And of course, it is invasive in some places, which is kind of fun to think about. We have a lot of European invasive species here in the Pacific Northwest. Douglas-fir in some places over in Europe, it kind of grows itself.
How about that?
Whoopsies.
And like, is it a problem?
It does. It becomes a little bit of a problem in some
Okay.
places. Yeah. So that's kind of fun, you know. Invasive species go both ways.
Yeah.
So just remember that.
That's just a good lesson for life.
Goodbye. Goodbye, Alex. So yeah, it is one of the most common trees in the west of the Rockies. It's so common that it will make the ponderosa pine like run for its money.
Whoa.
Especially if we consider that ponderosa pine is considered 3 species now in almost this same exact range. That really says there's 3 species, while for the Douglas-fir, it's just 1.
Okay.
Which makes the Douglas-fir well more adaptable throughout the entire kind of area, whereas ponderosa pine actually split up into like multiple species with multiple subspecies each.
I kind of think that's cheating.
You think so?
A little bit. I mean, there's subspecies, you know?
Yeah.
Which is basically a species, or else they would just call it the same thing.
Yeah, well, no, because they still interbreed. Like, you could take one from the east and one from the west, and you could cross them, and they will produce a new Douglas-fir like nobody's business.
Okay, that's fair enough.
But it just tends to be that the ones over there have bluish color foliage, different kind of bark, and their cones look a little different.
They'll still mate.
They still will, give them the opportunity.
Oh, I see. Species being a group that can only mate with itself.
Yes, generally that's one of those descriptions that say how do you define a species?
Right.
That's one of those hallmarks.
Gotcha.
Exactly. So with the ponderosa pine, allegedly, those other species won't actually combine. They would hybridize with each other, but then the genetics would be very, very different.
Oh, okay.
Whereas with Douglas-fir, it wouldn't be that different.
It would just be another Douglas-fir.
It would just be another Douglas-fir, not a hybrid between 2 very closely related Douglas-firs.
I gotcha.
For example, down in Southern California, there is the big cone Douglas-fir, which is Pseudotsuga macrocarpa. That does not hybridize, and in fact, doesn't even cross over with the other species. They are distinct. They grow in different places. But if you did put those next to each other, then they would not hybridize.
Okay.
2 different species.
Gotcha.
So,
thanks for the 101.
Any day, baby.
It's so funny. We're doing it for 5 years, and I'm still learning stuff each episode. It's crazy.
That makes my day. That really does.
I guess I only really, if I was, going to school, this would be like studying for like 1 hour a week.
Yeah.
So not a lot. Like, of course, it's taking me, this long to learn things.
It's taken you 5 years to learn what in a class would have been done in 10 weeks.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, totally. So,
oh boy.
Here's the next thing, though. If you ever see a Douglas-fir, here's how you're going to know. It's got big ass thick bark. Not platy, not scaly, nothing like that. It is thick, it's furrowed, it's corky, so like when you push on it, you're like, okay, this isn't quite wood, but it's woody.
It's got some give.
It's got just a little bit of give, especially as it gets really old. But for the most part, it's really hard, really rough, and it is absolutely cut into furrows like a field.
Cool.
Big, deep, like sometimes 6 or 8 inches thick bark with these big V furrows in between as the trunk slowly but surely expands.
By furrow, you mean like that diamond pattern on trucks? You know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about.
Like a V-shaped sort of like... almost like the top of a pie or something?
Yes. No, that's not what I mean.
Okay, what do you mean?
What I mean is, so a furrow is when you take a plow in a field, right? Mm-hmm. But the furrow itself is actually V-shaped, but the V goes in towards the stem. So when I'm referring to it as a V, almost you're taking it from a cross section.
I understand now.
Where at the base near the stem, that's the tip of the V, right?
Little canyon.
Exactly.
Okay,
yes.
gotcha.
Yeah. So big, deep furrows means there's these big canes that go in and then back out from the bottom.
Ah, you were talking like horizontally. I was talking vertically.
Yes, exactly.
Cool.
Exactly.
All right.
Yeah.
Great.
So you're going to see those like this insane amount of bark. If you're in the eastern side, in the eastern subspecies, that's going to be a little bit thicker, a little bit corkier, and kind of more on the orange colored side. Versus on the west side, it's going to be much darker. There'll definitely be a little orange flecks, in between here and there. A lot of the inner bark is very orange, or right when it very first starts to split, you can see this little line of like lighter colored orange. It becomes darker brown as it comes out. So really, if you see Douglas-fir, it's going to be like mostly dark brown with little patches of little orange from underneath where old flakes and bits and parts have kind of fallen off.
This is interesting to me. The eastern bark being different than the western bark. I'm sure there are other physical not similarities, differences.
Yes, sir.
Is that can you account for that?
Yeah, it's mostly because you get more fires over there. So their bark is a little corkier, a little thicker. The trees tend to grow a little bit smaller. Their foliage is a little bit bluer because it's a little bit hotter, less water. So bluer foliage helps reflect a little bit more light away.
More stomata bloom?
It's not actually stomata bloom in this case. It's just a glaucous covering. So the whole leaf kind of has this color on it. But if you still flip it over, you'll still see two bright white lines of stomata bloom on the bottom.
Oh, I guess I'm learning more things. I guess all these years when you say glaucous covering, I've always thought that was bloom.
Yeah, you can still call it bloom.
Okay.
But adding the stomatal onto it means it's particular to that undersection where there's the stomata are doing a lot of work. At least that's the term that's commonly used.
Okay.
I've actually brought this to myself, and I have not got a good question, or I have not got a good answer for my question.
I brought this question to myself, and
and I haven't actually solved it. So I still need to. I need to go do the review so I can give myself a good answer.
My new favorite Caseyism: you don't take questions to other people; you bring them to yourself.
Yeah, and then I sit with them for a long time on my porch.
It's very meditative of you. Meditative of you.
Thank you, sir.
That's all. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, essentially, Alex. The question is there stomata just on that bottom side where there are two lines?
Right.
Or
does it like wrap around?
Or is it just everywhere? Yeah, exactly.
I'm imagining Neo in the Matrix when he first takes the pill and that chrome goes down his throat.
Oh, yeah,
like wrapping around his entire body.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's quite like that.
Why can't we make a podcast about movies, Casey?
Well,
and
we can.
I choose the movie each week. You watch it and we talk about it.
Sounds great. Let's do it.
It's like Completely Arbortrary for movies reversed.
And then we get to review it. Right?
I'm in the bargaining phase of my
I see. Of accepting.
Well, what
this
if we
happening.
started another podcast?
And I'm like, well, yes, we can, but yeah, and that makes me feel like I am like the perpetrator of a breakup now.
Yeah.
Okay, damn it.
This
Alex.
is your fault.
Now he's in the angry phase.
Wow, moving
Shit.
quick.
Yeah, this is really happening fast. Well, okay, so the other thing about this Douglas-fir, so we talked a little bit about the foliage, right? So it's got more or less square needles, so you can actually roll them in your finger.
Cool.
They're singly attached. They're usually about an inch long, and they come out in somewhat messy angles from the central twig, which it's spirally arranged, their attachments, and they just kind of like go out in every direction, kind of like a bottle brush. But they're not like very, I don't know, regimented,
Not organized in any way.
Yeah. Like true firs, they seem like everything is just very
is true, yeah.
well like oriented, right?
Looks like a comb.
Yes, exactly. And then this tree is like, man, no, you can see that I care, but I don't care.
Yeah.
It's like
Like
that.
a junk drawer. Like I'm not going to need to like I'm going to root through it every time anyway. Just leave it messy.
Okay, there you go. I think that's fair enough. You know, so it's not it's not bad and it's not unaesthetic, but it is very much like not quite as regimented as other species, which is a great way to tell it apart.
I can see being really regimented being a good thing because it's like solar panels in a giant field. Like, they don't just like
totally.
throw them out there all over they had like make a plan, so they have like most contact with the sun.
Exactly. Yeah, but sometimes it's just the randomness actually kind of does work in the favor.
Okay.
The reason, or one thing that makes me think about this is tree climbing and ropes, where a lot of people, they want to keep the rope like organized. So you take it in your hand and you like flip loops into your hand. Right?
Oh sure, I do that with audio cables.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So a lot of people would do that, but then as soon as you just like drop it, inevitably there's some loop that goes in the other loop, and you get this weird kind of thing. So you have to like tangle it. It's not like there's a knot because the two sides never like crossed underneath. So that there's not an intractable knot that you can't get out.
Some kink or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But if you were to just do what we call flake rope, which is just like toss it, where you just say, okay, here's my bag and I'm just going to go shoot, and just kind of throw it in there. For all intents and purposes, it just lies randomly in the bottom of this bag. When you pull it out, it's perfectly unkinked, it's perfectly unknotted, and it just goes shoop one strand at a time.
Okay, interesting.
So sometimes the seeming randomness actually lets everything just organize itself in the best possible way.
Sure.
as opposed to the regimentedness. But, with trees, it's different strategies. Maybe they just said, yeah, we're kind of loosey-goosey, so we can take a lot of light from a lot of different angles that helps us be really good at this particular kind of strategy. Whereas the true firs, they're like, nope, we are very much right here exactly the same way all the time. Everything's extremely predictable, and it, accomplishes the same objective just in a different way.
And there's probably not a big difference in the amount of sunlight they get.
Yeah, I mean, compare that to the true cedars where they have their little sprouts, or the larches where they have those little sprouts, those little tiny shoots that are dimorphic, but then those are deciduous, versus a spruce, which has its needles going out in every direction, angled a little bit forward, but they're very stout. So they all kind of accomplish the same objective. All these trees tend to grow in the same areas. They can compete with each other, but they go about it ever so slightly differently.
All right, cool.
So yeah, I agree. I think you're right.
Interesting. It's just like a characteristic.
It's just a characteristic.
Cool.
Now, here's the best part, though. It's the cone.
I love.
You knew we were going to talk about it.
Probably my favorite tree cone overall.
Give us a description, would you? What do you think?
I'd love to.
Yeah, go for it.
Hey, is there one sitting over there by you in that thing? Another.
No,
here's one.
There's not. There it is. Nice.
This is a good one.
It is. That's a big one. That's a gorgeous guy.
I can't remember where I got this one, but it was so beautiful that I kept it.
Yeah.
And in a world, living in the Pacific Northwest, they are a dime a dozen, these
really
cones. So it must have been really special for me to keep it.
And I've been looking at it for years.
That's right. It's sitting right there. It's in a very honored place, by the way, Casey.
It really is. Yeah. It's in like a little shrine with your mother and some really cool things from the podcast. There's one of the Tree Me Awards that we got.
That's right. It's like my little ofrenda.
It totally is.
Set into my wall.
Yeah.
Well, this cone in particular, I think is on the bigger side. It's about, I don't know, what would you say, 3.5 inches, 4 inches?
Yeah, I'd say around there. Well, I'd say probably 3 to 3.5.
Okay, yeah.
But I've been doing a lot of measurements on this truck, so I'm just like got my inches and quarter inches are dialed right now.
It's probably like 6 inches or
yeah, Alex is holding the cone a little closer to the camera, making it look really big.
The scales are pretty even, and I would say like flat, as in they're not particularly pointed. They're sort of like a soft round.
The edge of the scale.
Yes.
Yeah. They're also ever so slightly cupped, I think.
Absolutely. Yes. And they each have 2 little divots in them to hold seeds.
Yes, that's on the inside. Technically, what would that be? On the abaxial side of the leaf.
Nice one.
Thank you.
And they are, there's a spiral pattern to the way that they come out of the axis.
They are spirally arranged about it.
This is great.
You're doing a wonderful job.
You're doing a good job with the kind of like detailed color commentary. It's nice.
That's what really we should do. We should just do color and technical commentary for, just videos of people showing off cones.
I think this is basically what our podcast is, Casey.
We've done it.
You're play-by-play. I'm color.
Oh, this is good. This makes my day.
And of course, no Douglas-fir cone is complete without many little mice burrowed in their scales and their bottoms and tails and hind legs sticking out askew.
Oh, that was so beautiful. Did you just write that?
Yes. How could you tell? Each scale, it looks like maybe each one on the outside of the scale, on the bottom side of the scale, has a bract. And a bract is a modified leaf part.
Yep.
We don't really know what they do.
Yeah,
I think that's the general consensus, right?
Yeah, according to the Natural History of Conifers by Alois Farjan.
Oh yeah.
Technically, every cone of a conifer of our many conifers that we have, they are 2 different parts. Fundamentally, they are a compound appendage. One bract and one scale.
Interesting.
Yes. So that was a huge deal way back in like the early like taxonomic days when we were trying to figure these things out and decide what is what and giving all these definitions.
A compound appendage.
Yes. Which, appendage would be a petal, a leaf, a scale, anything like that.
Sure.
It's just kind of this neutral term to say what it is.
Yeah.
Because if you're trying to define what a petal is, like what words do you use?
Appendage is kind of a perfect word.
Yeah, and that's what I used in the trees around you because I was like, well, oh shit, a petal is a petal. How do you define a petal?
Yeah.
So it is it's one of those kind of interesting things that being compound, every single pine family cone technically has what would be or what is a bract. But sometimes it develops for like one instant and then essentially stops developing or develops into something else or fuses with the cone scale, things like that.
Okay.
Whereas with the Douglas-fir and some other things that are closely related, like the larches, they tend to have bracts that you can see that hang out that aren't really fused one way or the other, but either grow longer than the scale or shorter than the scale, in which case you can either see it or not see it, respectively.
Did that answer the question, what is their purpose?
No, but Alex, I should add that in the cypresses, according to Alois Farjan, instead of the scales as we know it with associated bracts holding on to the seeds, essentially in the cypress family, the seeds are actually on the bract and the scale has been reduced.
Interesting.
So now you could basically think of like what's one other botanical difference between these two like big family groups is that the cypresses technically are bracts with scales very much reduced with the seeds on the bracts.
Wow.
Versus the pine family, the scales proper have the seeds and the bracts are often reduced. Like in the pines, there are no bracts whatsoever. And so a lot of people were like wondering, well, are these even real pines or like what is this? And then they had to like do all their little teeny tiny microscopic evaluations and they figured it out.
All those mouse biologists had to get in there.
Yeah,
because they're so small.
They're so small, and they had to just minimize themselves down, and then they jumped in and they had to go measure all these things.
I want to apologize. That joke wasn't that funny.
Oh, Alex.
And this being our last episode, I feel a lot of pressure to really like be on my game.
Okay, yeah.
And I feel like that was just kind of stupid and pointless.
Well, Alex, I think that is your job.
To be stupid and pointless? I'm good at my job.
You're good at your job.
I want to say one last thing about this cone.
Please.
I have always thought that because of the bracts, and they kind of curl upward, these bracts, that at the very top especially, it kind of gives the cone an appearance of a flame, kind of being on fire a little bit.
Totally.
Which goes hand in hand with the myth that this mouse butt thing comes from.
Exactly.
Is that there is a fire and the mice, to escape the fire, ran into the cone.
Yes.
For shelter.
They're also very well known as fire-adapted species. It's there.
What a well-rounded sort of, I don't know, I guess tree, but, mythos around this cone.
Totally, yeah.
It works on every level.
It does, yeah. It's multifaceted.
I'm very satisfied by that.
Good, as with the cone.
Yes.
So the officially, Alex, I to answer your question, I don't know that gives a reason for the bracts, but at some point, those being a two-part compound appendage, it was likely developed sometime to help with some amount of either fertilization, pollination, or just happened to be growing when that part started to hold on to the seeds and it started to go from a leaf to a scale. Something's there, but that is not something that's on our topic today.
Well, tell me more about our topic today.
I shall. So you may be familiar with forests, right?
Oh, I guess so.
Okay. Well,
just kidding.
Gotcha.
I'm so smart. I know what a forest is.
Yeah, he is. Honestly, you, without being too offensive, you sounded sounded like something that like a 4-year-old would say. Oh, like, I'm so smart. I know what a forest is. And you're like, yes, you are.
I thought you were going to say me saying I didn't know what a forest was like season 1, Alex.
Oh, yeah. No, that could be. I can think
here we are in season X. I know what a forest is.
Yeah, you know what a forest is.
A forest is essentially, I'm stopping myself from saying a bunch of trees in one place.
Okay.
Because it is so much more. A forest is not just a bunch of trees in one place. It is also all of the animals that live in those trees, on those trees, within those trees, the epiphytes growing on those trees, the other things of that nature.
You are on a roll, baby. That's so good.
A forest is an ecosystem.
God, you even used the term epiphyte.
I know. You couldn't even get it right.
I couldn't even say it. Jesus. Yeah, we got to end this. We got to end this thing.
A forest is an ecosystem. It's very complex.
Yes.
And it involves not just trees, although when we think about a forest, we think about trees.
Yeah.
Because that is sort of like the main plants that grow.
They are the dominant feature, other than the literal rocks and soil and mountains and the rivers that they're growing on and around.
Yeah.
Yes, they are the dominant thing. In fact, trees, everywhere you go in this entire world, they are probably the dominant thing that you see.
Interesting.
The other thing would be humans and human-built infrastructure.
Yeah.
That's the only thing other than, like I said, the literal earth or the ocean, like these like natural, I don't know, places, like the atmosphere, you know?
Right.
Anything that isn't something on that scale.
Living things.
Yeah, there you go. That they are the dominant thing. Like every forest, every place that used to be a forest, the trees are the dominant feature. So, of course, that is what we think about. We think about a forest. So, here's the thing about a forest, especially one that is filled with Douglas firs, is that that forest is one that has grown to live in an ecological way for a really long time. So if we focus on just the Pacific Northwest rainforest that we have on the west side of the Cascades, those forest systems are living in the most lush, cush environment they can possibly find. They have all the water in the world, never gets quite too hot, never gets quite too cold. They get so much like good temperatures and good conditions that they can grow to the sizes that we're talking about, nearly 400 or above 400 feet tall.
Yeah.
Up to, 12 or 15 feet in diameter. Some like god awful ridiculous number that breaks our brain, you know?
Yeah.
Like they compete with redwoods and Sitka spruces. So technically, the Douglas fir is the biggest of all of the pine family trees.
Okay.
So every spruce, every pine, every fir, larch, et cetera, they are small compared to the Douglas fir itself. The only things that really grow larger and taller is the giant sequoias and the coast redwoods.
Okay.
At least here in North America. There's a couple other kinds of trees around that may also give it a run for the money, but it's on the like top 5 biggest organisms in the entire world.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
What's bigger, a big Douglas fir or like, what are they, a blue whale? Like,
Douglas fir is way bigger than a blue whale.
Okay.
Like blue whales can get 100 feet long. They are the biggest living creatures to ever have existed on this planet as far as we know.
Yeah.
The blue whales.
Yeah.
But Douglas fir can be 3 times longer
That's
than
true.
them.
Okay.
So even if you have the same amount of weight per thing, it would just blow them out of the water.
Okay, cool. Good to know.
So these forests grow and become the biggest and some of the most long-lived things in the entire world. The trees themselves, the individual single-stem tree growing up, right? So if you have, let's say, an entire forest of these trees, and let's start from zero, scratch. We have nothing here. It's this big, let's say, grassland. So every mountain around, for whatever reason, poof, grass. It's just covered in grass. Then a Douglas fir seed starts to grow.
Okay.
That Douglas fir will grow and become larger and larger and start spreading its seeds, and new little Doug firs will pop up, and et cetera, et cetera. That one tree can live for 500 years without even blinking an eye.
Wow.
800 years if it starts to blink some eyes. If it really completely goes blind with just longevity, I think this metaphor is still working. Don't tell me if it's not.
It closes its eyes.
It closes its eyes. Thank you. Then it will completely live for well past 1,000 years.
Wow.
So that generationality means that one old tree could live for, let's just say, 500 years. So the second generation, when that tree and all of its kin, or all of its cohort,
Peers.
yes, when those die away, they just get old, decay comes in, and they end up falling over. Because remember, trees won't die unless something kills them. They will just continue.
Sure, yeah.
It will then be another 500 years for the next generation. Now, of course, generations are not like, okay, this one stops and the next one starts. They overlap significantly. Of
course.
So you always will have this kind of running total of trees living for 500 years or more. As they grow, everything in and around that forest starts to grow with them. Like you said, in them, on them, around them. They fall, and then things grow in there, and you get this extraordinarily complex system. Which is almost impossible for us to really wrap our brains around, because you have fungus doing all of these things underground that we can't even scratch the surface of.
You beat me to it.
Oh, yeah.
Because I was going to apologize to everybody who noticed that when I was listing things that grow in a forest, I did not say fungus.
Oh man, well that's it's a given at this point.
Okay,
right?
okay.
Yeah. So the very first episode, we talked about Douglas fir and fungal associates,
That's
and
right.
that's where it all came from. So
Wow.
everyone knows that.
Full circle.
So, in this forest, let's fast forward, 20,000, 40,000 years,
Wow.
right?
Okay.
So these trees have been developing this system. These old ones have grown up and then they've died. They've grown up and they've died. So on and so on and so on and so on.
Okay.
It happens that in the forest floor, all of these roots are growing out from that one single tree, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as they're growing out, they end up making little connections with all the fungus that we're talking about, but also with each other, with other trees. Where
They'll like graft onto each other,
exactly.
right?
Yes, that's precisely it. Where the roots will actively graft onto one another.
Yeah.
So that means that now tree A is grafted to not only tree B over here, but also the roots of trees C, D, E, F, G, and all the others around. Because their roots will just continue to grow out and get larger and larger in every direction, usually in the top meter or so of soil, about 3 or 4 feet.
Have we talked about them being able to share resources this way?
Yes, I think we have, but we did it in the context of a forest with a fungus and other species. In fact, we talked about, I think, the paper birch doing this, where the paper birch will, I think it was paper birch. Doesn't matter. It was a birch tree. And this is also covered heavily in Suzanne Simard's The Mother Tree, where the fungus connects species A with species B. So a birch with a Douglas-fir and an alder with a Douglas-fir, something like that. And then those trees, the conifers, will be growing up in the shade of these other trees, but those other trees are providing sugars to the fungus. That fungus gives it to the conifers. So there's now like this 3 different species symbiosis that is working together to create this system between the fungus, the soil, and these other trees, to where the Douglas-fir is just fine. But is the birch technically, quote, sharing the resources with the Douglas-fir? Or is it more like the fungus is like, I actually have a vested interest in all of you surviving, so I'm going to take some of the resources that you gave me and I'm going to give it to the Douglas-fir.
It's Robin Hooding.
Yes, exactly. And also, as soon as the Douglas-fir starts to dominate, then it says, okay, great, I'm going to take some of what you're giving me and give it to the birch tree.
Cool.
So now as the birch tree gets shaded out, it doesn't die because it's getting some of the resources from the thing that is actively taking its sun. So this happens with all the Douglas-fir seedlings too. So all the same species can do this, but they don't necessarily need the fungus. They would be sharing those resources right through their own root systems.
Sure, yeah.
It's exactly like what you're saying.
Okay.
Now, this whole system becomes extremely complicated when you start to add in all those other plants and animals and things that you're talking about. And they start to depend essentially on this complicated forest, where they always will know that there's going to be some old big dead trees that are laying on the ground, that are standing up, some big living trees that have huge hollows in it, and they depend on all these ecosystem kind of niches to live in. It's been like that for so long that everything's like, yes, this is it. I understand how this system functions, and it doesn't change because it's developed very slowly over thousands and thousands of years, millions of years in a lot of cases. They've come and gone as climates have changed, but they have adapted day by day, year by year, slowly, not quickly.
Okay.
So as that happens...
Does that mean it's like more resilient because it's happening so slow?
Yeah.
It's like it'll take more to damage it or to change it?
Yes. I think so. It does definitely build resilience and resistance to disturbance and different, things that come through. So yes, but it's more that they're adapting themselves and their bodies, their physical stems and their whole canopies to the conditions around them. So, all the wind comes from over here. That tree adapts over 500 years to become huge, and it is perfectly adapted to the wind always coming from over there.
I see.
So it's not necessarily that they'll be really good if the wind changes direction.
Yeah.
But their adaptations have been so slow and deliberate that they're perfectly adapted to everything just the way it is.
I see.
Now, here's the thing that really started to blow my mind a few months ago, years ago. I don't know exactly when I started thinking about this.
Okay.
But there is this fun thing that scientists found when they first learned that trees do, Douglas-fir specifically, graft themselves together with their buddies.
Yeah.
Where they saw a stump, they cut down a tree, and that stump started to seal over the wound, which was the tree's head, essentially.
Yeah.
So,
with compartmentalization of the bark.
Exactly. So the bark starts to grow from the side and grow over the top as if the tree is still alive.
Yeah.
How is that tree still alive?
And it's got kind of that wave pattern to it, like almost like it's rolling. Like
Yes.
it's the blob.
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
exactly what it is. We call it a donut as it kind of moves over because once you look at it, it looks like a little donut
That's
hole,
right. Fun.
Yeah. So the scientists were like, well, holy shit. This tree must be connected to other trees because we just cut it down.
Yeah.
We just cut its head off. It should have no ability to even use energy because it can't make its own energy. Trees are autotrophs. They have to have light. They have to have green parts in order to make their food, or they're parasites. We know that Douglas-fir isn't a parasite, so it must be making those connections.
So there are other trees that depend on this tree for resources. And so they go, okay, our neighbor lost his head.
Yeah.
Literally. Let's make sure that we can like protect his assets because we can use them still. The community, they're good for the community.
Yes.
Okay.
So that
we'll turn his
is-
house into a know,
Yes.
basketball court or something.
Yeah, we'll do something with it, right? Yeah, well, whatever. We just need to protect it.
Yeah.
Now you're touching on where I'm going with this.
Okay.
Because I don't necessarily want to say that those trees are saying, well, we gotta help our friend. He just lost his head. I don't know that trees are that simple. Perhaps might be the right term.
Interesting.
But they are growing these two trees. Let's have 3 trees: 1, 2, and 3.
Okay.
A, B, and C.
Oh.
Tree B is directly in the middle between trees A and C.
Okay.
And tree B gets cut down.
Yes.
They are all connected with their roots underneath, right? Mm-hmm. Because they're all grafted together, the trees are not deciding we got to help out tree B because tree B just lost tree B's head. That sucks. They are just making their energy. They're storing it as every tree does. Every leaf makes its own energy and takes what its fill, then sends that to the twig, sends that to the branch, down to the stem, down to the roots. It stores all these starches and sugars and everything for use now or later.
Okay.
So that's how trees work. Every tree does the same thing like that. But here's the difference is once that gets pushed down into the roots, when the roots of 2 different Douglas-fir are connected, essentially it's as if they are one system. So trees A and C are not helping out tree B. They're just repairing the damage to their system.
I see. They're tapped into the network.
Yes.
And then there's a breach in the network.
So feel that we got to compartmentalize that out for our own good.
Okay.
Because if that decays,
Our own good.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly, Alex. Now take that from just these 3 trees to an entire forest.
Yeah, wow.
Where now you have an entire network of trees that are connected. Maybe the only thing that is breaking this connection is literally a river going through it.
Sure, yeah.
You now have an entire forest, like millions of square miles, like the entire West Coast. Every Doug-fir, if it's growing in a forest with other Doug-firs, is connected and tapped into that system. So now we're not talking about just one single individual growing and competing with other individuals. They're all growing and competing together. If one of those trees dies, then okay, great. The trees died, and maybe it got attacked by beetles or something, and then it falls over, and all the roots start to decay. Now, as everything starts to decay, it starts to kind of pile up, right? You get a little bit more of this, a little bit more of that, and things become, in terms of the soil, this intense, complicated amount of some things decaying, some new things growing, some old things decaying away again, and you get this big cycle. If all of these trees, Alex, are connected, and they have been for, like we were saying earlier, 40,000 years, then sometimes if we think about the odds of something happening over that period of time with this much space and all these different individuals working together in this big thing, it's bound to be that there has been some trees that have fallen over and broken, but they were tapped into the system to an extent where that stump compartmentalized over the top of it, and the tree has all but disappeared because maybe it just barely was above the soil line. It then gets covered over the top with this little compartmentalization. Soil falls, trees fall, ferns grow, and you don't even notice it anymore.
Kind of becomes a root.
It becomes exactly.
Oh, sorry.
Or it becomes this group. No, don't be sorry. This is exactly right. That's exactly it.
Okay.
Where now you have tree A's roots coming over, and then they meet and graft with tree B. Tree B then moves over, and its roots are grafted to tree C. So now trees A and B are connected essentially by this extra bit of root that goes from each one to the other. So now you have this tree B no longer exists, but the roots, its DNA, are still connected to the system, even though there is no physical tree anymore. There's just, like you said, basically just roots.
Interesting.
Now,
it's like a little way station between these two trees.
Yes.
Okay.
But it's not actually doing anything. It's just connecting the two.
It's just a road.
Now, what about that tree making new roots? Because now it's just connected like every other root to the system. It's going to keep on growing its roots. That's what it is like genetically meant to do.
Even without a compound appendage above ground.
Exactly, because now it's essentially getting all of its everything from the two other trees.
Yeah.
So now it's like, well, I'm still going to grow my roots out because as far as it knows, it's still alive.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's not, it just lost one of the things, but they're all compartmentalized modular structures. So even though it's lost its head, it's treating it as if it's lost a branch.
Sure.
But it continues to grow because it's getting all of its other things from the rest of the forest.
The biggest branch of all.
Exactly.
Your main stem.
The main branch. So now we have this situation, Alex, where if this happens millions of times over the course of thousands or millions of years, we now have the potential and the likelihood that there are roots between different trees in these ancient old forests that could be literally thousands upon thousands upon thousands of years old.
Sure.
Because they connected to the system and new things came and old things went. The system still remained, though.
And there's no reason that those roots, like the nodule from tree B, would ever fully die or... I mean, there is no death, I guess.
If there is decay that comes in, then that decay would then just decay old parts. And then at some point, there would be new rings and new growth on the outside. So exactly. Conceivably, that's exactly right. There is no death.
Wow.
But this only happens if that network is maintained.
Sure.
So if that network, like we have in our old growth forest, like there has been an old growth forest across the entire planet, this is not just a bunch of individual trees growing together in one forest. They're essentially a gigantic superorganism.
Yeah.
And they may have individual pieces of root. And I mean like, I don't know, a 10-foot long strap of root going between this tree and that tree that has just been in existence in some form or another, or growing new roots as old parts die away, connecting to different parts of that system, but still alive. Still with DNA from tree B, theoretically, conceivably, thousands of years in the future.
That's, I don't know.
Now,
beautiful, I guess.
Now, let me take this to another level. When we remove all of these trees, we essentially delete that network. So we could be not cutting down a forest of trees that are 400, 500, 600 years old, these old growth trees that we're saying don't cut down because, well, there's their old, incredibly intricate, complex systems that we are now just cutting down that have developed over 500 years. My argument here is no, they haven't been developing for 500 years. There's actually bits and parts of this entire forest that have been there for tens of thousands of years that we can't necessarily go find unless we go sample thousands and thousands of areas of root and say, how old is this? What's the DNA of that? It could be that we find DNA from a tree that had its top broken off literally hundreds or thousands of years ago, but it's still just kicking it with its homies because it's getting everything it needs. But now it's a part of that network.
Sure.
And the more that you give that tree or that forest in terms of time, the stronger that network becomes, because now it's literally layered upon layered upon layered, and there's roots growing in every possible place. So now that system is more stable and able to survive all these other things that could happen because it has built such an intense network for so long, where now even a tree way over there, once it's tapped into the network, it is likely getting helped by every single other tree. And then if we think about this, like, well, why would a tree do that? What about like competition? It's way better for one whole forest to survive, because if one individual gets too tall, then it's not going to be protected by the other individuals around it. So even some scientists have found that trees, as they're growing up, they will regulate their growth so they basically all grow the same rate.
Right.
Because if they grow too tall, now they're kind of exposed.
To like wind or a storm or
Exactly.
something. Okay.
So if you are now a tree growing next to a bunch of other trees, those trees are buffering you from all these other things.
Sure.
Whatever resources they get, if you're tapped into that network, you're getting some of those resources. So it's in your interest to keep all these other trees around you alive.
Wow.
Then it's in their interest to keep all of their trees around them alive, so on and so forth, ad infinitum to the entire forest.
So are they really competing with each other?
Are they?
Or are they competing with themselves?
I don't even know if they're competing at all.
Yeah.
I think competition
growing.
is kind of just well, first off, it's definitely capitalist in terms of let's think about it, but we've proven that wrong scientifically so many times where competition seems less likely of a good answer to explain what we're seeing than cooperation.
Yeah.
But also cooperation kind of gets altruism. It's like it says, "Oh no, we're doing this because we care." But it's like, well, I think you can still have the same individual kind of self-preservation argument.
Like cooperation isn't good for me.
Yes.
Like not just like you, it's, it's good for me to help you. It's like, it's good for you to help me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's better for me. It's in my interest to have you be good.
Totally.
And not only good, but great.
Yeah.
Because if you're doing great, even if something happens to me, you will still be giving me some nutrients. Even if my fucking whole entire head gets chopped off, I'm still holding your hand and you guys are helping me survive.
Yeah.
So it's in my interest to keep every other tree alive for as long as possible and vice versa.
And that's all life's prime directive is just like to stay alive. Right?
Exactly.
Like that's the most important thing for life.
And if we think about it, that in this kind of context, on this scale, with all those other animals depending on this forest to be stable and stick around for a really long time, to have this ability to resist and be resilient towards in the face of different disturbances, now it's in all the birds and the animals, their interest to also keep those trees alive as well.
Sure.
It's just like a parasite. If the parasite kills the host, that's a dumb parasite because now, you have no place to live. You just killed your home.
Yeah.
So it's in the interest of the parasite to keep the host alive.
Wow.
So if we think of animals and fungi and all these other things as parasites, even in that way, which we think of parasitism as so bad, it's still in their vested interest to keep all the rest of that whole system functioning.
Yeah.
So if we start to imagine this kind of cooperative complexity, it kind of explains a lot, but it also says that the forests that we are talking about, that you and I have talked about for 5 years now, every single one of these trees, they very conceivably are growing and have grown in a forest or in some system where they are so intricately connected into this complex system that really a forest is not just, what we think of as a forest. It's like unfathomably more complex, longer lived, and potentially like it breaks down the idea of what is an individual, what is competition versus cooperation, what even like can we say that one tree is just one tree, or is this literally a superorganism from one tree's perspective? It's just a part of this giant living system that we call a forest.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of think that's the case.
I think it is too.
And with humans too. I mean,
Yes.
it's like maybe with all life.
There was a Radiolab episode that talked about cooperation and all these things years ago. And these people basically said, let's run this like computer model and basically say if I wish I could remember the exact details of this particular model, but basically it says, okay, if X happens, then do Y, but you always want to like help out your buddy. So it's like, instead of always saying, if you hit me, I'm going to hit you back. And like, does that make the whole system more resilient and survive?
Sure.
Or does that like ruin the system? And so they played out all these models and they found no matter what, if the individual variables like helped each other out, that was the one that succeeded and thrived every single time.
Yeah.
No matter what. So if you punch me and I don't punch you back, that's better than me punching you back.
Yes, because then I might punch you back again.
Exactly. And then it just starts this whole cycle that just becomes a negative feedback system.
Yeah.
Whereas if everybody cooperated and said, oh, it's my best interest that you also survive, then it turns out that everything is better off.
I think that is the most perfect message to end our podcast on.
I think it is too, which is why I've been looking forward to it for so long. It's not that I wanted to end the podcast. I just wanted to talk about this kind of idea of what a forest is, and then take that exactly, Alex, like what you're talking about, to everything else, because everything is connected, God damn it. So we have spent the last 5 years. I have spent the last 5 years telling these stories to you, and we've been talking about all these different trees. And the thing with our show that I love so much, and I have two different things like in my heart right now. One is I'm pissed off because, God damn it, I've been screaming to the wind. You and I have been doing this for so long, and I'll get back to that in a second.
Okay.
But also I'm so. Like, this is what gets me going. This is what makes me wake up in the morning and go continue to do this, is that everything is connected. Like, there is not a single thing in this world that is unconnected.
Yeah.
And we are part of the natural system just as much as everything. And like all of the different forest parts, and in this case, we're literally talking about the physical connections and how they could potentially be thousands of years old in ways that are like not quite individuals anymore, you know?
Yeah.
And all of those other connections between food and culture and religion and ecology, like literally everything we've talked about over the last 5 years and 260 some episodes, like all of that stuff is not just us trying to be, let's come up with a story and let's like draw a little connection because I think that'll be fun to do. It's like, no, this is like, it's all real. It's all absolutely real. It's not on the internet. It's not some made up thing that exists. We know it and we can see it and we can feel it and we can understand it. It's a physical, real thing. You can go walk out into the forest and look around and say, holy shit, these things are real, and it's been doing this for such a long time. And so we've been talking to these fungal associates, our wonderful people that are out there in this world that have been hearing and listening. And God damn it feels so good to like look back on that and know that while I often feel like I'm just screaming to the wind about all these things, and everyone says, oh, it's a fun fact. We're really happy to hear the fun facts.
Yeah, we just like upload the episodes and then like basically no feedback.
So thank you. Yeah. We appreciate you guys just saying, yeah, good, keep going. But yeah, there is there's this idea of me yelling like out to the world and having them like nobody reply, like nobody listen, no one actually pay any attention. You're just screaming at the wind. I was building my truck earlier and I was shaking my fists at the sky, knowing that I'm a crazy man because it was rainy and I can't work sometimes in the rain in this case.
You sound like Dr. Frankenstein.
I know, right?
Working in the rain, shaking his fist at the sky.
Yeah, so I haven't, my hair's not turned gray, and I haven't turned into, a crazy scientist yet. But the thing about this show is that after 5 years, there are still thousands of people that are listening who are saying, yes, like we hear and we support and we want to hear more and we want to take this message and we want to do good with it. So that's what like I said, that's what gets me going at night. But I have to reflect on this in a moment where I'm pissed off with the rest of the world not listening to, the things that are important to us, not just me, not just I like trees and I think we should keep them around, but like our existential lives.
Collectively important.
Yes.
Objectively,
collectively important. But it just gets me, I feel so humbled, and I never use that term because I think, it's overused. I'm so humbled by you saying that.
Sure,
It's like, no, you're not. You're just saying something.
How do you feel humbled?
I feel humbled because I've been able to do this for 5 years, I've been able to work with you, one of my closest friends, for 5 years to talk about something I'm extremely passionate about and actually have people listen as opposed to me screaming at the wind just for all the trees to get cut down anyway.
Totally.
Which is, I've worked for 5 years for the city and that's basically all I did.
I mean, even if that does happen,
it still happens, and that's okay. I'm still an arborist. I've still cut down trees. I will cut down more trees in my life. I know this.
Sure.
But yeah, you're right.
Even if that does happen at a grand, awful scale, we did our jobs.
We're still trying.
We informed. We educated.
Yeah, I constantly think about that because I was like, well, what am I doing? What's anyone doing? And I always have to remind myself, once a week I'm telling people that trees are important. I have for 5 years straight.
And thousands of people.
I wrote a whole book to try to tell people, go outside and look at your trees. Let me tell you how to get a little bit closer connected to them.
Yeah.
And here it is. Just go look at it. Go rent it from your library. Go buy it. Go look it up online. It's there. So
we're also fighting against like the propaganda machine that tells people that like nature is whatever, not that important.
Yeah.
What really is important is the new Microsoft Edge update.
Yes, whatever then you think. Yeah, 100%. There's like one of my rants I went on earlier today was about like us as humans being called consumers.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, what? Anytime someone calls me a consumer, I get a little bit angry.
So
like,
lost.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's like my entire existence is boiled down to what I consume.
To them, yeah.
And that's not food. That's like what I'm buying.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, the privilege to have been able to do this for 5 years and be able to end with this big philosophical / ecological kind of scree about the idea that a forest is just basically a super organism that has lived forever. That is something that I've never been able to talk about. I can't go to the city of Portland and say, I've reviewed your project and I've noticed all these things. I just want to remind you that a forest is an ecosystem that has lived for millions of years.
You get dragged out of the room.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm like, hey, listen, man, we're just building a McDonald's right here, so we just have to cut these trees down. Yeah. You know, it doesn't work that way. So having the like I said, the privilege to sit here and speak to everyone and have the opportunity to look into all these different stories and tell it has been just it has been humbling. It's been humbling to know that someone's like, I'm willing to give you $12 a month to keep telling me about trees, and you better give me that goddamn sticker too.
Yeah.
That's nice. Like, not everyone gets to do that. And, you know, you and I we are not millionaires. This is never something that has been able to say, yes, they've even been able to move to a different house, you know?
Right.
We scratched the bottom of the barrel, but just that has been enough of an opportunity that we could not say no to it.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's me. Alex, do you want to talk for 30 minutes?
30.
Sorry, 50.
Well, I would love to, but what's more important than what I have to say at this moment is giving a review to the Douglas-fir.
I thought you were going to say ads. And I was like, Jesus. What's more important is that you go and buy a Quince shirt.
Yeah, what's more important is an AI ad for Nestle. You know? Yeah, so let's take a short break. We'll come back and we'll give a review to this Douglas-fir, and then we're going to have a nice little fireside chat.
I love those.
I'm going to build a fire in my apartment.
Nice. That's a great move.
All right, we'll be right back with Completely Arbortrary. Welcome back to Completely Arbortrary. That was our last time, we promise, talking about the Douglas-fir.
There's nothing more to talk about.
No.
We've done it all.
It's time to give this tree a review and a rating, Casey. Here's how it works. We're going to give some final thoughts on this tree and then give it a rating of 0 to 10 golden cones of honor. And as our resident expert, we'll begin with you, Casey.
Wonderful. Thank you, Alex. I believe that the Douglas-fir continues to impress me as an iconic tree in almost every single way. And it kind of, it's a tree that's a dime a dozen. Like, it's everywhere.
Sure.
If it's around you, then it's everywhere around you. Very rarely are you like, oh, there's one Douglas-fir.
Sure.
Even if it's planted, in the Northeast or somewhere else in the United States or around the world, generally speaking, it's common. And I think that even so, it still finds a way to kind of be almost at the center of so many different things for me personally, professionally, and in a sense, a metaphysical way. Like when I think about crazy things, I'm like, oh, Douglas-fir, that would be a great example of that. It's technically quite an interesting tree. We haven't even talked about the wood products. We never even talked about the wood products because that's not what we do. But it's like the number one best ever for so many different things.
Sure.
Then this tree tends to just find its way to be in the center of just so much that I'm going to give it a 9.9.
Wow.
Is what I'm going to give it, because I also still think that the Coast Redwood just edges it out ever so much for a few other things, where in this case, the individual redwood itself, I believe, can live forever. Whereas a Douglas-fir pathetically needs a whole forest.
Wow.
So
that they can't be equals?
I don't think they can be equals. Not in my take. I think they could be.
Okay.
Are you saying I should give it a 10 out of 10?
No.
All right, I'll give it a 10 out of 10.
No.
I'm doing it. You're right. It's a 10 out of 10. It's the perfect tree. It's the perfect tree. It does everything.
Yeah.
And it does, if there were two, if I was to pit those two against each other.
Sure.
The redwood would still come out on top.
But that is not and has never been a part of the review section of this podcast.
That's true. If we were to consider another a different thing.
So it
that's
gets
very
less because of this other tree that we talked about a year ago.
Actually, I do that all the time, Alex.
That's fair.
I'm like, well, I gave that tree an 8, which means this one's like, it's got to be a 6.
Yeah, that's how you
It's not
keep your
near
like
as
metric
that.
level, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. So imagine all the ones that I've forgotten.
Yeah.
So-
well, okay, you're giving it a 10?
I think I'm going to give it a 10. And then I
Wow.
can't give any more 10s because I feel like I've just given way too many 10s this last year.
I know, it's been exciting.
It has been?
To give 10s, yeah, but I
Yeah.
think too much of a good thing can start to sour a little
Exactly.
bit.
If everything's a 10, then nothing's a 10.
That's right.
It's all just a 1.
Well, I think your 10 is very warranted, Casey.
I think I'm going to give this one a 10. After 3 tries, Douglas-fir finally got there.
Wow.
But it podiumed each time.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, well, because we did it 3 times, so it's a bronze, silver,
podiumed.
and gold.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
I
sorry.
did not know that reference, but I got it through context clues.
Yeah, well, that was a silly one. I would like to apologize for that joke. This is our last episode.
Oh, nice.
And I wanted everything to be a banger.
Hey, this is a good lesson that not everything can be perfect.
That
you know?
is true. That is true.
Wow. Well, what can you say about the Douglas-fir? I don't know. It's for me, I care less about the tree itself than what it means to me. Very first episode of this podcast. And it's not just a podcast; it's a lifestyle for Casey and I. It is what we've been doing for the last 5 years to pay our rent and as like our main work. Well, you also wrote a book in that time.
Yeah, I did. But still, I think this is my main work.
Yeah.
I believe I've made $4,113 off that book so far.
Nice. Hey, go buy Casey's book. Get that to
please,
5K.
Go get it to 5K. Oh my God. Yeah.
But this podcast, I have a very well. I'll talk more about my feelings about the podcast in the next segment we're talking about here. The Douglas-fir means a lot to me, not because of its tree qualities, but because of its, I guess, metaphorical qualities. And that's all I really want to say about it. Okay. And I will be giving it a 10 out of 10.
Whoa!
It's true.
Is this the second time we've done a 10 out of 10?
Yeah.
It was the Coast Redwood.
Yes.
Coast Redwood did it.
That's right.
Wow.
Yep.
Oh my God.
So it gets a 20, really.
It does get a 20. That's incredible. Wow, Douglas-fir. Man, so many people are going to be so upset because there's some people who really think they suck. That's okay.
That's interesting to me.
Yeah.
Because what reasons have you heard?
My good friend Dan Gleason, love him to death. He hates them because he thinks that they're overblown, and he doesn't like climbing them, and he thinks that down here in the valley, well, really, it should be an Oregon white oak. But he also, I think, I think he's just sometimes likes to play the contrarian. And
yeah, I
love
get that
about him.
sense even from your description.
Okay.
Like, come on, Dan.
Come on, Dan. I'll tell him you said so.
Because we both rated this a 10 out of 10, we have to induct it into the Golden Arboretum of Honor.
We got it.
Again,
I think.
I think. To the Douglas-fir, the tree that started it all, we say to you, we honor you.
We honor you. That's right. Dun, 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 dun. That was beautiful. I think we need to get an entire chorus of people in the background singing that whole thing. An entire orchestra.
So emotional.
Yeah.
A boys' choir.
It is, yes, yeah.
Well, nice job, Douglas-fir. And that was our review and rating of Douglas-fir. Casey, it's time for a segment.
Oh.
There's no title to this segment.
Okay.
It's just you and me talking about our favorite memories from Completely Arbortrary.
Wow, titleless.
That's how I want to end our show.
Okay.
It's just basically like gratitude journaling.
Yeah.
Like our most well-loved events or just things that have meant a lot to us about the show. Maybe a little background.
Okay.
Well, Casey?
Yeah. Well, you want to go first? You want to go second?
Sure. Let me give a little 101 of our history.
Yeah.
It was the year was 2020. Winter, the end of 2020. Casey came to me. I had lost my job with COVID. Casey was ready for something big. We were each ready for something big.
Oh, yeah.
And Casey came to me and said, Alex, I want to start a podcast with you. It's going to be about trees. Mm-hmm. And every week I'm going to talk about a different tree and you're going to listen and say silly things.
Just say silly. Just be silly.
Just go ahead and be silly. And I said, that sounds great. And the way he got me to do it was that he said it can be just like Doughboys, my favorite podcast at the time.
Exactly.
I haven't listened to in years.
It's because we did it so well. You're getting your fix every month, every week.
And then so we just kind of hit the ground running and we made a fucking podcast. Mm-hmm. And that's not super exciting story, but it is what it is.
Yeah. It was like late November in 2020.
Yeah.
So when that happened.
And then we released our first episode in January of 2021.
Yes. And in particular, you were insistent that we actually do it and move quick. You were just like, let's set a date. Yeah. Let's accomplish that date. And then we did. And then we've done it once a week ever since, barring a few different, things that have come up that we're like,
sure.
Oh, we actually can do that this week.
Yeah, we get illnesses and things.
Yeah, exactly. But we always put something out.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, let's talk about some of our favorite memories. Does anything come to mind immediately, Casey?
Yeah, for me, I have a few. Two of the things that I think really jumped out at me are like these larger memories that we have accomplished. And one was the very beginning when I would come over to this literal apartment that we're still in.
Yeah.
And we would get pho. We would end up doing a lot of pho.
Uh-huh. And kombucha.
Exactly. We'd drink some kombucha, we'd have some pho, and then we would just scheme about things and we'd put it together. And I think that was a really important, formidable time for you and I's relationship from my perspective, because this was in the middle of COVID. You had stopped drinking very recently at that moment. And so it was like all these big changes were happening, and we just sat in here and from scratch just kind of developed this whole world. You first started saying Golden Cone of Honor out of nowhere, the very first episode. The second we put that out, people said, yeah, I guess we're fungal associates. And that became the thing that we called there.
Yeah.
Then a month later, you said, we should start a Patreon. And I was like, whoa. And then you're like, we already started a Patreon.
I did it behind your back.
Oh, yeah, okay, cool. Well, let's make it. And then it ended up happening just really, really well. And I learned at that moment, it was an existential moment for me, that, oh shit, there's not a right way to do something. There's just go do it.
Yeah.
And I distinctly recall in that that first year or so thinking, oh my God, we're doing this. It's happening and it's that easy. I thought there was a way and a technical kind of design for everything. And it turns out, no, you have to build it from scratch and start. And then that becomes the thing.
Totally.
And I had no idea. And I don't know that you necessarily had the idea, but you just said, let's go do this. And I think this is how it's going to work. And then your blind confidence and just let's make this happen is what carried me through, or else I would have dragged my feet and basically done everything really slowly and deliberately as I research and say, I think this is how it's supposed to work. And I still do that, but now I'm like, don't do so much research, because the amount of research you've done is probably already more than most people do.
Sure.
And I'm like, okay, great. So there's not a right way. There's just whatever way you do that works and is legal. Go do that.
It is legal. I can't wait till they outlaw nature podcasting.
Oh yeah, trust me. It's after this episode. It's coming.
I think at the time I was like, I had nothing going on. That is not an overstatement. I didn't have a job. I didn't have a girlfriend. I barely hung out with friends because we were still all kind of...
Oh, it was intense COVID at the time.
Yeah.
I included you in my bubble because I was like, I don't know that Alex is going to be hanging out with anybody else right now because he's in this apartment and everything has been shut down.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm going to make sure to go over and hang out a few different times.
And I'm a natural recrece, you know? So
and I was like, I don't want you to become an unnatural recluse.
Yes.
Also.
Ooh, interesting. But I think my speed in trying to make it all work was just the ease of working with a good idea. You know what I mean?
Wow.
It was like when an idea is really good, when the creative idea is really good, and you know how to execute things, it just happens. You just you barely have to. I mean, I worked hard to. We both worked very hard to make this podcast.
Absolutely.
To create we always call it the machine. But then we just hit play on the machine, and then it was like, oh, we did a bunch of work to build it, and now it's quite easy to keep it running.
Yeah.
But that was the beginning was my favorite time probably. I think also probably the time I felt the most creative around the show.
Oh yeah, I'd say that's true. Yeah,
and I think my creativity has sort of waned over the years, just out of like, you know, you get into these grooves and then you just like your brain chemistry changes around the ideas, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, those first, I would say like the first year and a half was probably like my favorite time.
Yeah, I think some of our best episodes were in those first 2 years.
Yes.
Which I think there are great episodes all over the place. But here's a secret: I also think there are some episodes that aren't that good. And I listen to them and like, oh, that's not my favorite episode.
So do I.
But do you know what, Alex? Those are the episodes that we constantly get really good feedback on.
I know.
Like in particular, I've heard from close friends who say that's my favorite episode, and I'm like, what?
When we I can't remember what episode it was, but we were talking about that. We had recorded an episode and we had to put it out, and we were like, neither of us were that into it. We kind of, I think you thought that the subject wasn't that interesting. I was in a bad mood when we recorded, so like, and I could totally hear it.
Yeah.
And then I edited it and uploaded it, and we got like several emails on that one specifically.
Yeah.
And we're like, I love this episode. Thank you for bringing up this thing. And I think that was a nice moment for both of us to be like, oh, okay. Our standards that we hold for ourselves are not the same as the standards that other people hold for us.
Yeah, I suppose that is true. And everyone they take it their own way. Right?
Yeah.
And that's actually another really important thing that I have learned a lot. That is another part of this big screed that I wrote down, which is actually the really nice part about that I kind of ended on.
You're using this word scree. I've never heard this.
Oh, yeah. I feel like it's like a rant. At least that's what I do. Like, he went on like a political scree or something. Oh. I think I'm using the term right.
SCREE.
Uh-oh. I think so.
I've heard of a spree, certainly, with a P.
Yeah.
Which kind of sounds like the same thing.
You know what? Maybe I'm just completely like I don't know.
Hey, you know who else invented words? William Shakespeare.
Thank
so you go ahead.
I will do my best. But anyway, the in my little
scree.
My scree. Sorry, I can't. I love the word. I said something similar. Is my only solace is that everyone is listening to this right now. All of you out there, because you're fighting the fights and you're doing the work. And we've had so many emails. I personally have had people reach out through Instagram or something else to say nothing other than, I listened to you, I heard you, and you got me through this. Or you guys, at the very beginning, someone said, this is an example of positive masculinity. And I was like, that is incredible. Oh my God.
Yeah.
We're not even like trying to talk about masculinity as a topic. It just comes up and people are like, man, look at those two white guys that are not like being shitty and trying to like do all these other things.
Yeah.
So
it's like good close friends.
Yeah. And we seem to support each other, and people in the world felt that, and they actually took it extremely seriously. And some people have changed their entire careers because they've said, man, I listen to you guys, and first off, it's funny and it's entertaining and it's talking about something that I find interesting, and I'm looking around thinking, I hate what I'm doing right now and I want to do something different. These guys are telling me all these interesting things. I think I can maybe go do that. And there's people who have entirely changed from one thing to go back to school to go to horticulture or something else in that regard. Or they've just become an arborist, or they've done anything where they felt not like they're just throwing something at the wall and hating it, where they actually find themselves with drive and passion.
Yeah.
And I did not start this podcast thinking I'm going to change the world. I'm going to change people. I'm going to change something. I didn't even think I was going to have an impact on anybody.
Sure.
But it turns out there's been intense impacts that a lot of people have felt, and you've all reached out. And that really that's why I get up in the morning, like I said, to like tell people these stories, but also because I know someone's listening.
Yeah.
So much more impactful for me, and it buoys me and it brings me up.
Yeah. Because sometimes the internet is like so impersonal, and you just like put something up, even if you see the number of people listening, that doesn't really mean anything to you. Like, you logically know that people are listening, but you don't like, those are just like faceless people.
Yeah, just statistics is what it is.
Yeah. And then you get an email just from one person even, and it's like, oh, okay, wow, that wasn't a complete waste of time.
Yeah, you cared enough and it impacted you enough that you sat down, you found our email, you wrote something, and you sent it.
Yeah.
Like that's intentionality.
I will say my favorite part of this podcast, Casey, and I'm sorry to get so sentimental, but the best part of this podcast for me has been you, Casey.
Oh, get out of here, Alex.
Our relationship, I mean, you and I were never like super duper close, you know, like we went to different high schools, went to different colleges, crossed paths plenty, you know, but we didn't really spend a lot of time together until not that soon before we started the podcast, like maybe a year or so, right?
Yeah.
And then, boy, oh boy, I mean, you and I not only spent a lot of time together, but have also, you know, gone through like, you know, we have gained and lost romantic relationships. We've lost people in our lives. We have, I mean, my dog died and you were the one who took me out to dinner, you know, that night to celebrate, which I thought was so fucked up. Casey wanted to celebrate the death of my dog.
You're free, Alex, finally. How dare you?
And I've just felt so comfortable around you and being able to like ask for what I need, you know, in a way that I don't really do with a lot of other people.
Yeah.
Like I remember the day my dog died, we went out, maybe not the day, but a couple days later. And then we came back here and I said, okay, I need to cry now. Can you leave? And you were like, yep, absolutely.
Like, out of here. I'll see you later.
And that kind of familiarity and that kind of, you know, somebody emailed us one time saying, I love the way you and Casey, or maybe they said you and Alex, maybe they're talking to you, say each other's name so much. And they were like, I hope to someday have a friendship where we, you know, say each other's name a lot.
Yeah.
And I think on first reading that, I got that instantly, like, and it really touched me. And it was so like, I don't know, sad in a way. Yeah. Because I think everybody deserves a friendship like that. Yeah. But then I was like, saying each other's name a lot. That's so interesting. Like such an interesting detail to pick up on.
Yeah, it is. I've never really heard that before.
Yeah, I haven't either. But we love hearing our name. You know, that's how we grow like familiarity and, you know.
Yeah, like you're not meaning us. I love it when someone says my name.
Well, I do too. I mean, us collectively as humans.
They, mostly if they scream it.
Yes. In the throes of passion?
Obviously. Why else would you scream?
Con! Con was like, I really love when you say my name.
Oh, that just makes me feel so good.
But yeah, your friendship, our relationship is obviously like, I hope to be your friend for the rest of our lives.
I hope so as well, Alex. I really would like that. I would hate it to be any other way.
Yeah, same. Yeah, I couldn't imagine us being like, us having some sort of big like breakup, you know, and like I haven't talked to Casey in 6 years, you know, like that would kill me.
Yeah, I just don't see it happening either. Well, it's so nice of you to say. Thank you, Alex.
Which is, you not seeing it happening is a relief to me, because if anything, I would be the one to ruin our relationship. And
I'll just be like, oh, we'll talk. I'll have my people call you, Alex. Don't worry about it.
But yeah, anyway, that's what I want to say, really.
Yeah, thanks, Alex. Yeah. It really means a lot. It means a lot to hear that, and I feel very much the same. Like, thanks, I agree that our relationship is developed in a really unique way, going from friends to very, very close friends to like coworkers and podcast hosts and co-producers.
Business
and all that.
Partners is the one I always think about. Like, that is a extremely unique friendship.
Yeah.
And I got to say, people say don't start a business with your friends.
Yes, and you know what? I know why. I know exactly why.
Why?
Well, it's really hard without having someone on the other side who's able to take criticisms and respond and be such, build such a trusting relationship where you can have even artistic differences or the real talk of like, no, we can't do this, or yes, we can do that.
Yeah.
Without being like, I hate you, this is over, I'm taking this personally.
Just like, honesty, but also like kindness, but not like tiptoeing around things. I think you taught me a lot about that, how to like not take things personally, you know, and just say all right, I'm going to work on that. Yeah.
And you've taught me the same thing about like taking criticism. When I'm doing something, you say, Casey, actually, you need to let me do this, or this needs to be like this, or here's some direction. Because when I'm telling the story, I'm like, this is my story. I had to learn how not to do that.
Sure.
You also always brought to light this idea of shining a light on something. Don't hide it back. Just say it. Just say it out loud. And I've heard so many people reach out and say, yeah, you guys talk about shit that like is really meaningful that no one else talks about because that's not what they do, or it's not on brand or something like that.
Or it's uncomfortable or something.
Yeah, so I definitely understand it, but it's been nice to have a partner who actually is able to take that and take on their own responsibility, their own accountability, and say, yeah, I see you, I hear you. Okay, maybe just give me a day to deal with that. But then tomorrow, let's get back to work.
Yeah.
As opposed to being like, yeah, go fuck yourself, and this is over.
Yeah.
I think that's what happens way too often. But it's when you can have that nice that nice working relationship that also has this deeper foundation that really works. In fact, one thing that we've talked about has been like, wow, man, we just like commodified our friendship. Half the taking the step back is also being able to just hang out and not necessarily work the whole time.
Yeah.
Which I think I'm really looking forward to. You've brought it up multiple times ever since we hung out on Orcas Island a couple months ago. It's like that band, Boy Genius.
Yes.
I was listening to an interview with one of them, and they were like, yeah, we actually, before we put out a new album or do anything, we're just going to hang out for a bit. And they basically said, yeah, we want to like reconnect on a friendship level before we even remotely consider collaborating on more work projects again. That way we can maintain what matters, which is that. So that's another part of this whole break, is to be like, okay, what if we just like don't talk about trees for a day?
Yeah.
And like just talk about something else,
Yeah.
So maybe it is that we're going to start a movie podcast just so we can talk about something else. But
Oh, we'll do it all over again.
yeah, we can do it all over again.
All right.
But yeah, I think one of the other things, just to end my thing that I really love about the show, is that it has widened my perspectives on so many different things.
Interesting.
Like how religion works. Like I've had all these ideas for a long time, but doing the research and hearing your perspective as well as other perspectives have been wildly impactful for my view of the entire world and how things function.
Yeah.
And I can't really give any good examples right off the top of my head, but
I know what you mean, though.
yeah, there's a lot of things. My perspectives have just widened and gotten very, I don't know, I think deeper in terms of like they have a bigger depth to them. So when someone talks to me, I'm like, well, there's other perspectives, and here's one, and here's something else you might consider.
Totally.
And we've also got this from you fungal associates, you beautiful people out there, because when I say, this tree sucks, I hate this tree, wow, that's sensational. But then inevitably, even from the third episode, Arbor Vitae, people reached out and said, bro, actually, this tree's pretty cool.
You suck.
And here is another perspective as to why. And I realized that when you talk about trees in such a silly way, we're low-stakes science. Like we rate and review every tree afterwards to remind everyone this is a silly, dumb podcast.
Yeah.
This is not real life. Just have a good time. That also gets other people to say, yeah, well, I have this other thing, and also I'm not going to take it too seriously. My cones are my own, just like yours are yours. And there's room for all these different perspectives and ideas, and there's always going to be somebody on the other side, even for the Russian olive, where I'm like, this tree has no redeemable qualities. Someone reached out and said, hey, it's the only tree that grows in my area, so it gets at least a couple stars for that. And I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah, that's a fair perspective.
Sure.
So I think that from the Fungal Associates, has really changed my whole entire view of the world in a positive way.
I think I agree with you. I mean, I agree with you for myself, as in I think in my 20s, this is just part of growing up, but like in my 20s, I was very like militant with my opinions. Like if you had a different opinion than I did on something, I was so like, I know I'd default to like anger and confusion. Like, why do you think that? Why did you think that movie was good?
Yeah, even on something like that.
Sure, yeah. And I think just over the last 5 years, definitely I've become, I think more accepting of different opinions.
Yeah, I gotcha.
And being able to just be like, oh, that's your opinion? Oh, cool.
Yeah, okay, great.
I have a different one, as does everybody about everything,
Wait till you hear my friend Case's opinion. It's insane.
But, and also like the idea that opinions are not that valuable. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I see. Yeah,
they're just like a thing that you have that they're like a pimple. Like I have a pimple and you don't. Okay.
And you don't. Great. Wonderful.
And
one day you will.
I liked this movie and you didn't. Like, honestly, who cares? Yeah. And that there are bigger stakes. There are other things to invest my energy into, I guess.
Yes. Yeah. And I think everyone needs that. Yeah. And if we do realize, oh, this is just my opinion, it's not that big of a deal. then things will probably work out and we'll be way less angry and a little bit more
Yes.
flexible as a society. But even with today, just having this conversation has made me feel way better.
Good.
So that's nice.
Nice.
Sometimes that's all it takes, is just talking with your friends about trees.
Yeah.
It makes the world better.
We hope that you all feel that same way. And I just want to put a call out. If you want to email us telling us, I don't know, send us some well wishes. Why not?
We want to hear from you.
If you've ever thought about it and haven't, please do. Or if you have, do it again. And it's arbortrarypod@gmail.com, ARBORTRARY pod@gmail.com.
Yeah, and if we can, maybe let us know, because we would love to share some of those stories. There's a couple things that a couple shows, local radio shows do, where they basically have like a letter to the editor kind of session. Like, oh, we got some comments and some feedback, or someone gave this. So yeah, tell us what you think, and maybe we can share some of your stories.
Yeah, that would be fun. All right, everybody. For the last time, I say thank you so much for listening to Completely Arbortrary, and we hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
This has been the History of Rome. Completely Arbortrary is hosted by Casey Clapp and Alex Crowson.
Our music is by Aves and the Mini Vandals, and our artwork is by Jillian Barthold.
To support the podcast and get rewards in return, become a Treemium member at arbitrarypod.supercast.com.
Thanks for listening.